If you've ever walked off a tennis court feeling angry, embarrassed, confused, or just tired of your own reactions, you're not alone. In fact, almost every tennis player, whether beginner or advanced, has felt that same sharp frustration boiling inside them. Today, we're going to talk about why tennis, out of all sports, makes us so emotional. Why a single mistake can feel like a personal failure. Why we sometimes react before we even know why. And why this happens to everyone, even the best players in the world. There is no right or wrong here. Just human psychology doing what it does. And understanding it is the first step to gaining control. Let's start with something simple and deeply relatable. Tennis feels personal. It's just you, the ball, and the consequences of your decisions. Even with today's rules allowing coaching from the sidelines, the reality is that you are still the one who has to execute the shot in real time. You are the one holding the racket. You are the one making the swing. You are the one living inside your own thoughts between every point. And that sense of personal responsibility can feel incredibly heavy. When you miss, it doesn't just feel like a technical error, it feels like a reflection of you. And that's the moment where anger begins, when the brain starts tying your identity to your performance. You stop seeing mistakes as something natural. You start seeing them as evidence that you're not good enough. When that happens, tennis becomes more than a game. It becomes a mirror, a very honest mirror. And sometimes, we don't like what we see. There is a psychological reason for this. In tennis, you have an enormous amount of time to think. In between points, during ball tosses, during changeovers, walking to pick up a ball, the mind never stops. Other sports give you less room to think. Tennis gives you too much. And when the brain has too much space, it fills that space with fear, judgment, self-criticism, and pressure. It becomes the perfect breeding ground for frustration. Think about it. How many times have you had a long inner conversation with yourself during a match? A conversation where the tone shifts from calm to annoyed to angry to disappointed, all in a matter of minutes. That's the mind reacting to pressure. That's not weakness. It's simply how the human brain responds when it wants control but doesn't have it. And that leads us to something that almost every tennis player struggles with. Tennis is one of the only sports where you can do everything right. Have the perfect preparation, perfect swing, perfect mindset, and still miss the shot. You can execute the same movement 5 times perfectly, and the 6th time, it falls apart for no reason. That unpredictability is painful for the brain. The human mind loves consistency. It loves repeatable outcomes. Tennis gives you the opposite. Some days you feel untouchable. Other days you wonder if you've ever played before. That inconsistency creates emotional pressure. And when the pressure is high, anger becomes a natural release. Now let's talk about something even deeper. In tennis, mistakes feel bigger because the effort feels bigger. You run, you sweat, you concentrate, you build up the point, and then you miss. All that work, gone in one instant. It doesn't feel fair. And even though our rational mind knows this is normal, our emotional mind reacts instantly. That sudden spike of anger isn't something you choose. It happens before you have time to think. That anger is the body protecting your ego. It's your brain saying, "This mistake hurts. I want to push it away." And yet, here's the strange part. Tennis players get angry even when no one is watching, even in practice, even when they're alone on the court. So if it's not about impressing others, what is it? It's about identity. Tennis doesn't just test your skills. It tests your self-worth. It asks you, every point, every game, who are you when things go wrong? And for many people, that's a hard question to face. But here's the part we often forget. Even the best players in the world feel anger. They feel frustration, disappointment, embarrassment, fear, all of it. The difference is not that pros don't feel these emotions. The difference is how they respond to them. So let's explore how professionals stay calm. Not in a magical, superhuman way, but in a very human, very psychological, very practical way. One of the most powerful things pros do is separate their identity from their performance. When a pro hits a bad shot, they don't say, "I'm terrible." They say, "That was a bad shot." That distance, tiny but powerful, changes everything. It allows them to see mistakes as part of the game, not evidence of personal failure. This psychological space is the foundation of emotional control. Pros also understand something crucial. Emotions come and go. They rise like waves, then fall again. A moment of anger doesn't mean the whole match is ruined. A moment of doubt doesn't mean you're done. They treat emotions as visitors, not permanent states. When they're angry, they don't fight the emotion. They breathe through it, let it move, and focus on the next point. Another key difference is routine. Pros have rituals they follow after every point, whether they win or lose. Adjusting strings, tapping the racket, turning away from the court, bouncing on the toes. These small actions recenter the mind. It's not superstition. It's psychology. These routines act as emotional resets. They tell the brain, "We're moving on now." They shrink the space where anger likes to grow. But there's something even deeper that pros do. They accept the nature of tennis. They don't fight it. They don't expect perfection. They know the game is built on mistakes. They know pressure is normal. They know frustration is part of the experience. Instead of resisting it, they make peace with it. And when you stop fighting reality, you stop fueling your anger. Now here's where this becomes truly relevant to you. You don't need to be a professional to apply this. You don't need a coach or a sports psychologist. You just need awareness. Awareness of what's happening inside your mind, and compassion for yourself when emotions rise. The next time you feel anger on the court, try this. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what am I really reacting to? Most of the time, it's not the missed shot. It's the story your mind attaches to it. I'm not good enough. I always mess up. I should be better. When you change the story, you change the emotion. Remind yourself, it's just a point. It's okay to miss. This happens to everyone. These are not cliches. They recalibrate the emotional pressure inside you. They make the game feel human again. Another thing you can try is focusing on one simple cue, something external. The bounce of the ball, the rhythm of your feet, the movement of the racket. When your attention shifts to something present and physical, the emotional noise in your mind gets quieter. The brain can't process anger and deep focus at the same time. One will always win. You choose which one. And finally, give yourself permission to be emotional. Anger doesn't mean you're weak. Frustration doesn't mean you're failing. These emotions appear because you care, because you want to improve, because you love the game. Instead of punishing yourself for feeling angry, acknowledge it gently. Let it pass. And keep going. There's no right or wrong here. Just a journey of understanding yourself through a sport that reveals everything you hide. Tennis is emotional because humans are emotional. And that's not a flaw. It's what makes the sport beautiful. Before we end, I want to leave you with a message. If tennis makes you angry, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because the game asks a lot of the heart. It tests your patience, your confidence, your identity, your resilience. It exposes the parts of you that are still growing. And that's okay. Growth is not comfortable, but it is meaningful. So the next time you feel that frustration rising, breathe. Recenter. Remember you're human. Remember you're learning. And remember that every player, every single one, walks this same emotional path. If today's episode made you feel seen, understood, or just a little less alone on the court, consider subscribing and sharing this podcast with another tennis friend who feels exactly the same way. And tell me in the comments, What makes you the angriest in tennis, and how do you deal with it? And here is the closing message I want you to take with you today. Tennis doesn't just teach you how to play. It teaches you how to feel, how to face yourself, how to accept your imperfections with softness, and how to find calm in the middle of chaos. If you can learn to breathe through your anger on the court, you will learn to breathe through the difficult moments in your life. The game doesn't make you angry because you're weak. It makes you angry because you're human. And that is exactly what makes your journey beautiful.